Okay. So I have all my counts and stuff done. I have framework. Now what? How do we fill it? We know a couple of things we want to do in a couple of places, but we have a lot more empty space than we have filled space. You have a couple options. It is helpful to have kind of an idea of what you want the performance and the movement to kind of look like, what you want it to convey. Like, imagine in your head if it was like a music video, right? Like, okay, in my mind, if I was doing a pole routine and this song was playing and I got to kind of control all aspects of the aesthetic, I would probably want it in black and white. I see like very like sharp kind of poised, calculated, sensual, but not like gooey or sexy, but like a very kind of like a powerful, imposing maybe. Yeah, like you kind of want to try and get some words, some ideas, some vibes, some whatever going on in your mind. It helps if you have 11 years of pole experience and you know some movers who kind of move in the style that you're imagining for this performance. So I know whose movement I will find the most inspiring for this particular performance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on the song on my phone and I'm going to scroll on silent Instagram through that person's videos and see if there are any videos that I'm like, ooh, this is kind of vibing with my song a little bit, or ooh, that would make a great moment at this line, right? We're not copying whole sequences, we're not copying choreographies, but you're using inspiration from someone that's already there and you're like, oh, that is a great idea, especially if you struggle with just spontaneously coming up with really creative ideas. Find inspiration. Maybe go watch the music video to the song you're performing to. Watch some music videos from some of that band's other songs or from artists that sing similar songs. You know, this kind of has witchy, dark, like, it's me and the devil. To me, there's like tango-y vibes almost, right? Like a precision, a deal has been made. This is like a final dance with death type of a situation. And so I'm seeing a lot of like Morticia Adams-y vibes and things in it, right? So I'm not really seeing hard style. I'm not seeing big dynamic movement. I'm not seeing crazy over-the-top edge work. I'm seeing mostly point work with some like chosen edge work moments. A lot of maybe kind of ways to incorporate some creepy arms. I am making sure that I'm still focusing on negative space because that is the goal for this choreo. That is the challenge I've set for myself, is to create something around the idea of negative space so I can teach my students how to play with negative space, right? That being said, I am teaching this in an all levels class. So I also want to make sure that anything I'm adding either has a fairly straightforward modification. You don't want the modification to be 10 times more complicated than the main move. You want the modification to be, you can add a pole swoop here. We can do a body wave here. We can do this or that. Right? Like, you don't want it to be bland. You still want your modifications to fit with the music, fit with what they're going for. But sometimes I see people where like the modification is way more complicated, easier, but more complicated or like extra steps and just looks clunkier. And I feel like it's not really given a lot of consideration. So I need to make sure that I can give all of anything that is going to be tricky or extra concepty, extra like hard to kind of figure out. I need to make sure that I'm giving a modification that doesn't require so much brain power or so much physical power, but also doesn't look like I'm just throwing someone a bone, right? Like, you could just do this. No, they still want to be taught. They don't just want to be placated. People who need a modification for something specific don't just want to be placated. They still need to be taught. They still paid to be there. They paid to learn. So the choreography needs to be adaptable to higher level students, to newer students, to students who want to do it in heels, to students who don't want to do it in heels. It is going to be a heels choreography, so there will be some extra time taken to talk about heels technique. Students that just want to do it in socks or want to do it barefoot will just keep kind of practicing the other elements during those portions, or can listen and just kind of take some mental notes. But I am going to watch this person's videos. I'm going to kind of get the vibe, get it going, whatever. And then I'm going to go into my pool room and I'm going to freestyle to this song a few times. I'm going to freestyle and try and make sure I'm hitting the pinpoints I already have, which are my starting position, my hello Satan I, my me and the devil, and then my me and the devil. I know my starting position. I want to be leaning and I want to have my arms out, and I can play with like extra finger movements. Or I can play with keeping it very like soft and angled, right? I can play with my arms. I can let my students pick that flavor. But I know I want my starting position to be kind of leaning into the pole with my arms forward. I know for Hello Satan, I want that hip bump. I know for the first me and the devil, I want to look. And I know for the second me and the devil, I want like an up roll. So when I'm freestyling, I'm going to try and make sure that the 2, 3, 4 times I freestyle to this song, I'm trying to consciously prepare to hit those beats. You have to know the song in your head a little bit. You don't have to have these counts memorized yet, but it's helpful. It's helpful to know, okay, here are my beats. Okay, here come my instrumentals. Oh, here's my first chorus 8 count. Okay, like it's helpful to be familiar with the framework of your song. If you know the song structurally, then you can anticipate where you need to be, when you need to be there, where to rest, where to speed up, where to throw more flavor, where to throw less flavor, etc. Okay? If you don't have any idea of inspiration for your kind of routine, you can... like I said, it doesn't have to be pull inspiration. You can watch those music videos. Maybe you want it to be something... Oh, battery saver is on. Maybe you're doing kind of like a witchy routine. So maybe you want to turn on a movie, especially if you're neurodivergent and you get a lot of inspiration from outside stimulus, like watching a show that has that concept or listening to a song that has that concept, like something that you can really feed off of and hack that hyper focus. Watch a witchy movie or listen to some, I don't know, whatever you want. But get yourself in that headspace so that you will be able to more creatively come up with some ideas. You could also ask somebody, hey, do you know anyone that moves in a dark Morticia Addams tango-like way with weird arms? And I might be like, I do know that person, actually. You will go. So that is kind of the basics for what you need to kind of go into it. If you're doing a comp routine or something that you want tricks in, it's also really good to have a list of those tricks and skills you're going to want to include. It's also helpful to have an idea of what you're going to wear before you choreograph, because knee pads might change things. Leg exposure might change things. Side exposure might change things. Is there going to be a skirt? Well, we got to figure that out, I'm going to have a giant headpiece. Okay, we got to figure out our giant headpiece. So it's helpful to know some of these things going into it. But yeah, them's the ingredients. I can't turn this off.